You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Harry's wife. Back off, bitch. I've remarked before about the royal slamdown. It used to be Duchess on Duchess action, a smackdown between the Duchess of Cambridge, as she then was, and the Duchess of Sussex. Now there's the elevation for Catherine to be Princess of Wales, something, of course, which has caused envy overload for Harry's wife, because she views Catherine as the nemesis. Ordinarily, Harry's wife would scapegoat Catherine, but she's unable to do so because Catherine, expertly advised, has nothing to do with her whatsoever. Catherine got on board with the concept of what Harry's wife is, and very quickly realised that the most effective way of dealing with her is the implementation of a no-contact regimen. Do not react to her. Do not talk about her. Do not watch what she is doing. Do not think about her. Purge her from your life. And as a consequence of that, Catherine focuses on doing what she does best. Getting out, meeting people, representing the royal family, showing off those toned legs when she's playing tennis, demonstrating how she can carry so many outfits elegantly. She probably has a little thought to herself, this will get right up the pretentious one's nose, but then will banish that thought as she has been so advised, and instead just gets on with matters. Harry's wife, on the other hand, will be keeping tabs on what Catherine does. She can't help it. 2 reasons. First of all, there's so much coverage of Catherine, and therefore there's always the possibility of coming across it online. But also, Harry's wife needs to know what the nemesis is doing. Her paranoia causes her to pop her name into Google to find out what she's up to search as to what she has been doing, and then to sit there fuming as she reads the praise that is heaped upon the Princess of Wales. She will, of course, moan and comment to those that will listen, smearing Catherine. Catherine doesn't know about this, and therefore doesn't care. But it's been reported in GB News, Kate sends Harry's wife a clear message to back off as tension deepens in royal feud. Princess Kate, according to Svar Nanan Sen, has sent Harry's wife a clear message to back off as their feud continues, according to a source. The Princess of Wales and Harry's wife are currently not on speaking terms. As I've explained, that's as a consequence of Harry's wife's behaviour and the constructive approach that Catherine has adopted to that behaviour thereafter. The King is thought to be the only senior member of the royal family that is in contact with the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. That is being done, of course, to assert control over them and manage his own facade. The Sussexes have publicly criticised the royal family in TV interviews, their Netflix documentary, and Prince Harry's autobiography. However, the Princess of Wales will fight to uphold the monarchy's reputation if further criticism is launched at the firm, according to a source. This is demonstrative of the minority aspect of super empath that Catherine has. Some of you will not be familiar with my work describing empaths. Empaths are what we as narcissists hunt and prefer because they're the easiest to ensnare and the easiest to keep ensnared. And I categorize them by virtue of different schools and cadres. Schools are standard, contagion, super, and codependent. Catherine is an empath. It means that she has considerable emotional empathy for a wide range of people, and this is demonstrated in the way that she interacts with people. The ease at which she's able to elicit people's responses, the way that they feel comfortable around her. Furthermore, people want to talk to her, and she exhibits some magnetism in that regard also, which is one of the cadres. But there is an aspect of super empath about Catherine. It's not majority, but it's a fairly sizable chunk of minority, which essentially is this, that when people behave in a certain way towards her, It acts as a trigger to activate that super empathy. Her super empathy does not guide her on a day-to-day basis. But when something happens, for instance, an attack upon her family or an attack upon the extended family, i.e. the royal family, that is a trigger event and causes her super empathy to be activated, with the consequence that she basically stands like Gandalf and says, "You shall not pass." She draws a line in the sand and says, "That's enough." And she'll fight back against that individual. She doesn't go on a preemptive warpath against them. She doesn't engage in getting her retaliation in first. No. What happens is purely reactive. But rather than rolling over, she behaves in a particular way, which is, I'm going to stay away from this troublemaker. But if this person crosses these particular lines, i.e. trigger events, she will then stick up for both herself and the royals. GB News continues by explaining, Kate is fiercely protective when it comes to defending her family and the overall interests of the royal family. If that means fighting fire with fire at times, when she's more than willing to do so, even if it makes her less popular with certain people. She's very much the voice of reason, and is known within the firm for being a clear, fair thinker who tries to weigh up all sides before rushing to judgment or thinking ill of anyone. While Princess Kate used to have a strong bond with Prince Harry, another thing that he's lost, see parts pass him, her relationship with the Duchess of Sussex has become increasingly icy. The source told Closer magazine, Harry's wife needs to be extremely careful with these power games because Kate won't hesitate to keep sticking up for the royals as well as herself. She's shown an incredible amount of tolerance and bitten her lip, but even she can only be pushed so far. And this latest revelation is being seen as a very clear message to Harry's wife to back off and watch what she says about Kate moving forward. Of course, Harry's wife, through her compartmentalization, will continue to throw jibes and barbs in the direction of Catherine. She'll steer away from a personal confrontation. Her narcissism won't let that happen. You only had to see the way that she shrunk back at the Windsor walkabout, that her narcissism recognized that there was nothing to be gained. Often, the narcissist will subconsciously realize that a person is too difficult to control and therefore doesn't really bother with them, asserting control by staying away from them. It often seems like the narcissist realizes that that person has worked them out. An unaware narcissist does not think, oh, they realize I'm a narcissist, so I'm going to back off from them so I can control them by staying in a position of withdrawal. It doesn't work that way. Quite simply, Harry's wife believes that Catherine is icy and unpleasant and that she can't understand why she treats her this way. Again, the victim mentality of Harry's wife. But her narcissism causes her to back off and not try and influence her as she once did, because the narcissism recognizes basically there's nothing to be gained here. We're not getting fuel. We're going to be wounded. And remember, the narcissism is a self-defense mechanism. So when it comes to Catherine as the nemesis, she infuriates Harry's wife as a consequence of her successes, but Harry's wife, in essence, isn't brave enough to try and do anything towards her directly. The article concludes by explaining the bottom line here is that Kate's not afraid to take the gloves off and play dirty if she has to. It's about self-preservation and not being walked all over, again demonstrating that significant aspect of the minority super empathy. But also what's fair and right at the end of the day too. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex stepped down as working members of the royal family in 2020, we are reminded once again. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.